Hello, everybody. Well, first I want to ask you, we spoke a bit, if you've been following me, a bit of following us on Break Fear, Find Freedom on the podcast. We've mentioned pickleball a few times. Well, Dino has. Yes. And for me, it's always been like, what is pickleball? And it sounds like so weird. In fact, are you playing with pickles? Okay, I know that's random, right? But now today we've got a beautiful couple who their main aim, their focus is pickleball. They just love pickleball. But pickleball has a bit of a nuance to it, and I think pickleball in some way has saved their lives. Now, on that note, let me introduce Niko and Christie Fronimos.
Yes.
Right. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Hello, Niko and Christie. How are you today?
Hello. Hi.
It's so nice to have you today. So now, before we go into pickleball, right? Tell us a bit about Niko and Christie. Like, who are you? I know it's a loaded question, right?
Yes. Well, loaded question. Well, good. Well, let's start with the basics. We're originally from Chicago, born and raised. I am, and so is Christy, and her family and my family. I'm Greek Orthodox by descent. My family is Greek. My mother, father, born in Greece. My mother came to United States when she was a teenager, which is really early. And my father came a little bit later and didn't speak the language very well and still doesn't. And now we live in the Villages, Florida. And
if people don't know what the Villages, Florida is, it's the #1 master plan community in the United States for people over 50 years old.
Amazing.
And we're blessed to be here. We're both 52 and 53.
53 years old. 52,
and this is where we discovered pickleball.
This is where
when we turned 50, and we were stuck here for COVID.
It was quite a story. It's quite a story how we got into pickleball and how, like you mentioned before, what you said, I thought the same. My father-in-law, her father, he is a world champion pickleball player. He won the first ever national championship pickleball title in Arizona, I believe Sunrise, Arizona, in 2009. And Christy and I met in 2010. So on our first date, she tells me that she played tennis. And I never played tennis. I couldn't afford lessons. Growing up Greek, middle class in Chicago, we always had the best food and the best family experiences, with family, lots of love. But we didn't get the sports and all that. My father was too busy running the restaurant and doing his thing. So I always had dreams of being in sports. But being that I was 13 years old and I just was stunt growth, and in high school, I didn't develop until I was in college. So basically when I was in high school, I was waiting for this big growth spurt to play sports because I love sports. And my brother was 6'6", senior. And I was a freshman, and I came in as a freshman at 5'5". And I was tiny, and the coaches are like, "Oh, this kid's going to be great." I played sports and they love me, and he's going to grow like his brother. And never happened. I did. I'm 6'3" now, and I weigh 190 pounds, and I'm in the best shape of my life at 53 years old. But I didn't grow till my mid-20s, actually. I was stunted, and I had all kinds of things happen to me when I was, I won't go into too detail, but I had some trauma happen when I was 13, 14 years old too. I'm sure that had something to do with it. And which leads us to pickleball, how we found pickleball. And that was my father-in-law who basically played it. And I asked the same question, what is pickleball? Is it playing pickles, throwing them in a barrel? I never asked this question until 2018 when my wife and I came here for vacation. Now, this is where the conversation gets interesting. This is where, I read a little bit about yourself, and I see the fear, people overcoming their fear and making the most out of life when it just seems like it's you're stopped or you're on empty. And well, I'm just going to stay with where I found pickleball, because before with Christy, we had a tumult, it was life has been up and down. Like everybody has that. Every time I tell someone, I'll go, you know, this happened to me when I was 13. They're like, oh, this happened to me when I was, they're like, hold my drink. Hold my drink.
Okay, so
you know what I'm saying?
Niko, sorry, I'm going to stop you there. I just want to, before we go, how did the two of you meet?
Oh, okay. That's okay. Very simple. She picked me up at a bar.
Yes. We've been together. We just had our
From that night.
We just had our 13th anniversary of meeting, and then we've been married for 9 years.
Yeah.
So this is a second marriage for both of us.
Yeah.
And
Christie has 2 kids. Yes. They're in their
30 and 27,
30, and a grandchild,
and a grandson.
Wow! Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and I have a 18-year-old, well, 20-year-old son now. The divorce was kind of crazy for me. So at 4 years old, my ex-wife and I split. At the time, I was convinced that I wanted to be a millionaire. You know, I was most focused I've ever been in my life to just accomplish something. And I started a business by myself in the 90s, a hip hop clothing business. And it did very well and it did great. Unfortunately with that, you know how it happens. When you focus so much on one thing, you forget about something else. And that's what happens in life. Yeah. So now we were in our 48 years old, sitting in Chicago, and we're focused again on money and on this and on living. And I don't even know why I am, you know, what am I doing this for? My best friend just died of a heart attack at work, no less, where I worked at. Wow. He worked with me. Wow. And it was, you know, we had a crazy lifestyle. He was a world-class DJ that worked in the finance business with me during the day. And at night we ran nightclubs and ran around the country in Miami, and you know, he would go overseas and play clubs, and he had this incredible lifestyle, but we were burning the candle at both ends, and we weren't living right, we weren't eating right, we weren't sleeping right, we weren't doing anything right. We didn't know what life was. Yeah. So, you know, basically Christie and I had this great life together that we thought was great. We love each other dearly, but our kids were grown and divorced, and having that we were living like we were in college because our kids were not with us. So we're working a lot of hours. We're just not finding the answers to life that people always are searching for. I'm sure everybody always says, what's the meaning of life? Why am I here? Yeah. So I was depressed. I was obsessive compulsive disorder from the time I was 24 years old, going back to the trauma that I suffered when I was 13, 14 years old. And it was bad. It was really bad obsessive compulsive disorder, where I'd put myself in a room and I'd get out and I'd have to do my
your rituals.
Yeah. And the rituals were so bad that people at work would see me and laugh at me and say, what are you doing? Why are you doing this in the middle of the parking lot? Like, are you okay? And then I'd be like, you don't know that I have obsessive compulsive. So I'd have to explain to someone. It's like having cancer, and there's someone saying, oh, I'm sorry you're dying, and having to explain it over and over again. It's already embarrassing that you're doing it because you don't know you're doing it. You're just stopping in the middle of. I was uncontrollable to the point where I would suffer and I would be depressed and I would cry and not tell anybody. She would see it, and she was the only person. Mind you, I got divorced, and it was around with my ex-wife too. So it was around for 20 plus years. And then I did drugs to overcome it on weekends, to quiet it, party drugs. And I'd go out and I thought I was having a good time, and I would just get suffer and more depression, which leads me to what happened, because I was I got clinically diagnosed as really bad obsessive compulsive disorder to the point where they were prescribing me drugs, like hard drugs. And I took them with my wife, and that led to my divorce because
his ex-wife.
My ex-wife. Those were drugs that I didn't, you know, when you're taking Xanax and Zoloft and all these things before everybody knows what they were 30 years ago, 25 years ago. And people would look at me strange and say, why are you on these things? Are you crazy? So I stopped. What happened was I wound up with Christie, and she saw my obsessive compulsive disorder, but looked through that because she truly loved me. And I don't know what she saw in me, but thank God she did, because she was so kind to me when I needed it. And when I was depressed, and here's the thing, like, you see, people don't understand depression unless you're depressed. And if you're clinically depressed, and when you constantly think of suicide and constantly think of you're hurting yourself or constantly think of doing drugs or trying anything but being sober, you're depressed.
It's an escape, yes.
Yeah, it's escape. So I didn't know what was going on in my life. I knew she saved me. She saved me because our love, but there's has to be more than that. Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry. Okay, Niko, I'm going to stop you for a moment.
No, stop me whenever you want, please.
There's a lot going on there, so we're going to unpack it later on. But what I'm saying is that you were in like such a bad place, it sounds like. Christie, what did you see in Niko that day at the bar?
I guess I saw a good-looking man.
Well, besides the good-looking Greek man. Besides that.
Exactly. I had never met anybody really Greek. I grew up in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, and so we kind of met, and just from the moment we met, we really just never parted. It's been wonderful, but it's had its ups and downs, and we're definitely
soulmates for sure.
Soulmates, but we're on a whole new level of things that we are doing together.
Right now we're on a whole new.
And it's a blessing. We have a purpose now.
Now we have a purpose.
I never knew I needed a purpose in life until.
Well, that's a good thing, because now what I'm saying is that Niko was in this bad place: depression, obsession, drugs, alcohol.
He hit it really well. I have to tell you, because I said,
that was
the first, I didn't see any of that. And plus he was always very, he worked, he did all this. So it was the weekends. Yeah. So, where you went out on the weekends and then he was just partying too much. And so for me, I didn't know a lot of his background or different things for a while. And then all of a sudden you discovered, and by that point it was too late. I was already in love with him. So I wasn't going anywhere. And I think there's always I can save them, or we're better off together. And coming out of another marriage, I was previously married, I wanted this relationship to work. And so you do all that. And I knew I loved him, and I knew, he has these puppy dog eyes, and just a sweet soul. Yeah. And so I think both of us just, we have very similar life experiences in a lot of ways with different things. And so he helped me through my divorce because he had already been divorced. And there were just a lot of things that we picked
each other up. Yes. The most important part is we both picked each other up when we were down the worst. And when we hurt each other the worst, we were there for each other, because we knew that there was no one else in the world we could depend on. And as much as it hurts, I'd rather be hurt with her than happy with someone else. And that's what we did. And the funny thing is, I made her promise me she'd teach me tennis on a date. And then here we are.
And I mean, I played tennis like in high school, younger. My parents owned a sporting goods store, so I hadn't played in a long time. And so when he said this, you're going to teach me.
She was good. Wait, you have to say this. As a freshman in high school, she was a phenom. She was very good. And then sophomore year, she just quit. And then she graduated high school junior year because she went through school fast, and was married by senior year. By 18, she was married and having kids. Some people, I had a different life. My parents made me very comfortable at home. We were comfortable, and I was strict. But when you're boys and there's 3 brothers, it was easy as the middle child, because my older brother took the brunt. I could come out later, and my little brother could tag along. She didn't have any of that. So at 16 years old, she was having problems getting bullied at school. And when you're tall and beautiful and in high school, that's when you're going to get.
I always say I'm 5'10" and a half, 5'11".
Yeah, she's tall.
And so I was this tall, like in 8th grade, and everybody else is short, and so it was very awkward. It was an awkward. So I had a hard time.
So she was being bullied, and I was bullied my whole life. We were just talking about this today. How I was bullied my whole life, because as you could tell, I have a defense mechanism, which is talking a lot. And I do it a lot, and people either love me or they hate me. Now, when I'm working for you, selling cars for you, or when I worked for myself in the clothing industry, and I did exceptionally well, because the talking part saves you. It helps you get through things, because that's gets you through the problem. When I had trauma when I was a teenager, when I was 13 years old, I talked my way out of that trauma. Remember doing it. And so now it's like I have to keep in mind to keep other people, that other people need to talk and other people have that. So sometimes I understand where I get off, and I'm trying to deal with that. I'm trying to learn that. And that's pickleball helped me a lot with that, because it's made me more patient. And that's where it leads into pickleball.
Patience.
And
okay, so now I'm going to stop you again, Niko.
Yeah,
okay, I'm going to interrupt. Sorry.
Just put the hand
put
up.
the hand up, because we've got a lot.
Okay, go on.
I want to go back to Christie. I want to just dig a bit deep. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back, Christie. So I'm going to go back to, because I'm going to go back to the meeting with Niko and your relationship, right? Did you not get caught up and like, didn't you get drawn into his life eventually when you found out what he was doing, right? He was into drugs, he was into all these things, into the high life, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, VIP.
Did you get caught up in that life, or did you draw him out of it?
No, I mean, there were definitely periods where I was caught up in it also. So it was on the weekends, it was the two of us, because it was always, I always say, Niko would say, I worked so hard this week. I deserve to go out. I deserve this. I deserve this. And so how can you say to somebody that's working 70 or 80 hours, okay, no, you can't go. But I always said it was a vicious cycle. And so
it was a vicious.
It would literally, we would go out, and I always called it like, nothing good ever happens after 11 or 12 o'clock. So then I would bring him home, somehow. I don't think he should ever been allowed to go in a bathroom by himself, at a club or whatever. Because that'd be the thing. We'd be out having a good time, be like, no, I'm not doing anything. And then he would disappear and then come back. And all of a sudden it was like his face changed everything. And then that's where I said,
nobody knows.
So once I learned what was going on, but I don't think I don't look back at it and think that, I just thought it was kind of the life that we were leading. And because when you work every day and you're still, you're functioning.
Yeah.
I don't know if I thought it was as big a problem as it was, but then as it continued. Yeah. And so when we hit 2018, and it was, you could see that it was just like, we need a change. And that's when I said to him, I said, we came down to the villages and we did what they call a lifestyle preview. And we stayed at like a residence. They have houses, and we stayed here for a week. And we said, we want to come, like, this is it. Like, he played pickleball. We played
pickleball for the first time.
And we just fell in love with it. Yeah. And we didn't really think that we'd be able to do anything for at least 5 years. We said, we're not even the age that the requirement to be here yet. And, but I said, I don't know if I can survive another 5 years. It was one of those things where just no. So we actually, in the middle of a snowstorm in January of 2019, we decided to put our house up on the market. Literally from, we sold it, we, did the prep work. A week later, put it on the market. It sold that first day. Six weeks from start to finish, we were from Chicago to Florida. Like a week before we were moving to Florida, we had to come to Orlando and find a place to live. We didn't know what we were doing,
and a job,
career,
and anything. And a job, because I quit my job.
Yeah,
we went full. To tell you, I played pickleball for a week. Okay, 5 days.
Yeah.
Okay, I was here for 6 days. I played pickleball for 5 days with her father. I was god awful, but I didn't know it.
And there are videos.
To prove it. But if you're hitting the ball and you're laughing, and someone else is hitting the ball back, it makes you feel like you're even though you lose the point, you still hit the ball. So your brain says you did something right. Yeah. And you can make an excuse why it didn't go in. I hit it too hard, but I'll get it right next time. Basketball's a little different. If you shoot a basketball 10 times and you miss 10 times, it's not fun. Pickleball's fun the first time. That's why it's enlightening everybody. Yeah. Because a 70-year-old person goes out and has fun the first time. Dino went out for his first time and played one game. He had fun. It wasn't like he made it up. He had fun. I could see it in his face. He was hitting the ball. He was like, oh, and then he got angry that he missed the ball. That's when you know you're having fun. When you get angry because you're not doing as good as you think you can, then you know that's the game for you. In basketball or golf, you go and play, you swing a shot, and if it takes, you will not get any sport on the first day. But chances are you will pick up pickleball on the first day. And that's why it's unique. So what happened was I go out and I play it, and I'll just jump right in and tell you what happened that day. Because I went out and I played, and I didn't have OCD the entire day. For the entire time I was doing, and I didn't once do this or do this. And then it occurred to me that I wasn't doing it when I was playing it. And then it occurred to me that I wasn't depressed anymore, and I found this joy. It occurred to me that I had fun, legit fun, for 5 hours on a weekday without the use of narcotics or nicotine or alcohol. And without spending $1 and without worshiping any idol or pretending that anything is better than what it is. Because that's all we do. We watch TV and we watch commercials and we make things better than what it is. Because it's someone else doing it, so it can't be better than what you can do. Only you doing something can be better than watching someone else do it. That's a fact. If you watch someone play basketball really well, like LeBron James, it's wonderful. And you go, that's great. But you playing an exhilarating sport and feeling the joy of being involved in something else bigger than yourself with 2 or 3 or 4 other people. This is what happens when you get 4 different people on the same court, and one's, I don't even know. See, like what turns out, one guy was a 60-year-old retiree fireman, and the other guy is an 80-year-old retiree school teacher, and the other guy is a 30-year-old who just lives in the village and does real estate. And here's me playing. We don't care. We're all having fun. And it's just amazing. So what happened was that week, I came back and I told my wife that this is just the most, like, God is, I wasn't religious or spiritual at the time because I kind of fell away from that, especially with the Orthodox Church. No disrespect in them. When you have a lot of rules and regulations and you speak a different language, how am I going to have a relationship with God when I walk into the building and I see gold everywhere and I see all these people? You know, I didn't understand it. So I kind of left. And then pickleball like brought me back. It's like, hey, this is spiritual. Like having fun and laughing, and 4 people laughing at the same time is spiritual. And it brought me, like I said, we went back home, and here's the, she didn't really emphasize the miracle that happened. We sat on the couch and we were crying because my best friend just called me, my other best friend, and told me that he has stage 4 cancer. So I already have one of my best friends buried, not even buried. We cremated him, and we didn't give him he didn't even get it was a memorial we did. And then my best friend calls me. So I'm on the couch with her and we're crying and we're like, what could we do? Let's go back to Florida. That was fun. That was great. We didn't know what to do. So she was not agnostic. She just didn't really believe in God and didn't have any direction.
I didn't grow up.
She didn't grow up in religion.
In my house.
So I grew up in religion, but I grew up with the fearful God of you better watch out. And she prayed and she said, please God, let us do something together. That's all we wanted to do. We didn't want to come to Florida to play pickleball. We wanted to come to Florida to do something together so we could escape the hustle and bustle of the big city where you forget everything that's important to you and you go work for 70 hours. And then on the weekend, when you have precious hours to spend with the person you love, you'd rather go drink a bottle of vodka and listen to loud music and watch people bang their head. And you make yourself believe that you're having a good time. And I didn't understand it. And now that I'm in Florida and I play pickleball every day, I understand everything because it all makes sense. Because it's not about how much money you make. It's not about what your position in life is. It's not about how many friends you have or how many people like you. It's about how happy you are. Are you happy? Are you happy? Because I know a lot of people have thousands of friends and they're not happy. I even saw a man named Robin Williams, who was one of the greatest comedians of all time, who literally made me cry of happiness so many times and took his own life because he wasn't happy. So you know, I'm getting older now, and I'm getting really wiser, and I pray to God now for wisdom and knowledge, like Solomon did. And I want to use it to take pickleball to Greece. And hopefully, if I can get one 50-year-old or 60-year-old or 70-year-old that's on the couch and said, I could do that, rather than sit and cry, because we all cry. That's the thing, that people think that we all are human, and we all have this feeling inside. We all cry when we're alone and lonely, and say, why? I want to do something. And then you could just get in your car or get in your golf cart or get on your bicycle and drive or ride to your nearest park, and you'll find pickleball at your nearest place, and just say, hello, I heard about this game. Can you guys show me? And 30 people will swarm you to teach you this game. It's the most incredible experience.
It is a really nice community overall.
It is overall
in the country. We feel like looking at the United States, and it's like this bustling. The numbers that are coming out, they said, last year
40 million people played pickleball in the USA last year.
Yeah. Wow, that's a big number, and I haven't played it yet. Okay, so I'll make a play to go.
Here, so I brought a paddle. Here's a paddle. It's very light. Okay,
you have to grab the ball.
It's light, and here's the ball. It's plastic.
A wiffle ball.
Okay, it's a wiffle ball. If you grew up in the Midwest or in America, I'm sure they had wiffle ball everywhere. And it's a plastic ball. Okay, it's got holes in there. So if I hit it with my head, it doesn't hurt. So if you get hit really hard, it'll hurt like getting slapped in the face, like with a glove, like a touche. And then you'll get a little angry. But it's more of a touche, like, oh, I owe you one. And you'd be like, but I do recommend glasses and stuff, because that could get dangerous. And of course, when you're playing with senior citizens, it's very important that you watch your footing, because when you're running, this is the crazy. Well, here's the craziest thing about this sport is a 70-year-old man, and we were playing with a 67-year-old man yesterday, who was playing with me and my wife. We're a 5.0. We play senior professional level. We're not the greatest players in the world, but we're still learning, and we have big aspirations. And we're playing this young guy who's 5.0 player, excellent. And this guy was playing like, I swear, I thought that he was 20 years old. And after the game, they won 11-9 or 11-8. He looked at me and he's like, I'm done.
He was tired.
He goes, so the crazy thing is, it makes you want to play more. It makes you want to be younger. It makes you want to smile more. And who doesn't want that? And listen.
Well, we laugh. We get up very early every morning. And so going out and playing pickleball every morning, we just laugh, because you go, it was so hard getting up. And we didn't get up in the morning. We didn't do any of this. And now when the time changed here, we used to get up at 5 a.m. and run. And now we're tending, it's like 4:15.
Christie and
I need another time change.
Yeah. I love this. So this has really brought you closer together, right? Because you already helped each other out and supported each other while you were in Chicago. But now that you've moved, it's like a whole new life, right?
It's a whole new life. I don't think anybody recognizes, it's very nice, at least with, your parents, when they said, we're proud of you. This is such a nice thing. And so with pickleball and going to Greece and doing the noise.
This is the noise. Now, when we first started playing, that's what caught my attention. My father-in-law goes, come on, let me show you pickleball. And I thought it was pickles in a barrel. I no idea.
Yeah.
And I walk on this court, and I'm wearing a T-shirt and these sweat shorts and some loafers. Thank God they were gym shoes. And I start playing, and 5 hours later, my T-shirt's down to my knees, and I couldn't believe that it was so easy. But I was having fun. And like I said, now that was over 3 years ago. Or actually, it's going to be 3 years on the dot, March 1st. But that leads us. We told you how we found pickleball. We didn't tell you the real miracle. And that was
okay. So that's what we were saying. Like I'm saying that it's brought you closer together, right? So you've become a closer couple, and you love together, which is great. And you're obviously learning together. Yeah. So, and you found God, or spirituality, or whatever you did.
No, we found God.
We found Jesus. Like we we found 100% God in Jesus because of pickleball, like because of the joy. It wasn't, pickleball is a tool, just like a guitar is a tool or any other sport. It's a tool, and the tool that brings you to joy will usually bring you to God. Because once you discover that you could laugh again, you remember when you were a child laughing. And I remember when I'm playing pickleball all the time, I'll look at the sky, I'll see a bird fly by, and it'll remind me when I was 7 years old playing with my brothers in the backyard. And if that's not God, I don't know what is, because God is a feeling. It's not you can't buy it. Lord, no, I was a wealthy man. I was a millionaire in my 30s, and I've chased that demon, what I thought was God, because I wanted money and respect and power. And I went to church, and I was in the board of directors at church, and I had the biggest Mercedes, and I had the biggest house, and I had the biggest hole in my heart.
Yes,
so now, you know, it doesn't. And now I realize pickleball is so important, and us bringing it to Greece. It's literally like God told both of us, I have this amazing, amazing new job for you, Niko, and I need you and your wife to leave Chicago and sell your house. This is what the miracle was. In 2018, she didn't tell you that. I literally had a vision in my mind on 2018, sitting on that couch. And I looked at her and I said, let's sell our house. Let's move to Florida. Let's play pickleball for Greece in the Olympics and win a gold medal. And I still don't know why I said it, because it's 2023 now. That was 2018. I had a jumbo mortgage living downtown Chicago with the Maserati in my garage. My 2 parking spots cost more than my mortgage, what I pay for here. And I was living a different life. And now that thought came in my head. We didn't believe, but now we're believers, because now we're the actual diplomats for the country of Greece for pickleball. The official,
co-touring directors.
And Dino and I yesterday had an official meeting with 2 incredible volunteers from Greece that are going to make us the official Federation of Pickleball for Greece, get us officially
all the steps,
officially clear the steps with the World Pickleball Federation and the International Federation of Pickleball to clear us for the Olympics if we get cleared for the Olympics in 2028. So in 2018,
Beautiful.
in 2018, there was no pickleball anywhere. I Googled it. I was at home. I'm always on social media. So I was at home Googling pickleball, and I found nothing other than Coach Mo in Villages, which I met him. He's my father-in-law's friend. He did videos on it. He's been playing pickleball for 30 years. He's a champion. In other words, there was nothing. And now Tom Brady plays pickleball. LeBron James plays pickleball. Leonardo DiCaprio plays pickleball. They own teams. Not only do they play, well, LeBron James is a big player. He plays, he gambles on it, he gambles his paddles. I mean, he loves the sport. He's gung-ho. Pickleball is like an addiction. And once you play it, see
it's
now you don't know.
Addiction.
It's a healthy addiction.
It sounds beautiful. So now what I'm saying is there's so much here. Okay, I want to have a follow-up conversation with this.
Sure,
okay,
absolutely,
because there's so many things that I want to ask you, but we're going to just lose it. So for now, what I want to do is I'm going to take it. You're going to the Olympics, and you're going to you're going to go to the Olympics and represent Greece, right?
That's our dream.
Well, that's our dream.
Yes. Well, hey, put it out there.
Well,
you need. So what we're saying is that anyone out there, you see this beautiful couple. We're going to dig deeper into their story. So we are going to have a follow-up. So watch the space. Yeah. But what I'm saying now is that we're looking at donations, right?
Yes, we're definitely looking at donations. Now here's the big, like I said, yesterday we had this huge meeting, and the 2 gentlemen from Greece, one of them is a bureaucrat with the government of Greece. He is going to get us in the Federation of Pickleball through the Federation of Wrestling and the Federation of Weightlifting in Greece, because the way the rules work in Greece is there's a lot of bureaucracy, but we need money for a lawyer. We need money to actually start the paperwork with the
and all of this is before anybody's even played. People have played pickleball in Greece.
But here's the best news.
That's the biggest thing, is bringing the sport to Greece.
To Greece.
People are bringing the sport to Greece on their own. There's a guy who built the court in Greece. There's people doing it, but it's very important that we get money for the actual process to get a federation of pickleball established, and then we could teach. We already have people waiting to be taught. These people that are there, they have several groups that are involved, and they're all doing their homework. They're all Googling pickleball there and going, I could play this. And this is what they're telling me. They're like, wait, my father is retired. He's 75 years old. He could play this with me. And I could go visit him at the retirement community and play this with them. So now they're starting to think like, this is really good for me. So now it's very important that we raise to say a number wouldn't be fair, because we need ongoing support, because monthly, these people will be running the actual foundation. But that's in the future. Right now, we just need funds to get it started, to get the lawyers in process, to get the bureaucracy going in Greece. We have the people in place to do all this. It just takes the funding in the office to do it. And of course, we need money for nets, pickleball paddles and balls, of course. And my wife and I are donating everything we have. We go there 3 times a year. We bring 4 to 8 nets every time we come, we get them pretty good pricing, around $100, $150 a net, but we donate all of them and every one of our paddles. We get as many paddles donated from people in the villages. We get about 20 or 30 from ourselves that we get from other people or donations, and we give all the stuff ourselves. So we're donating everything we have. We're donating our time, and this is the most important.
We fill up the luggage.
We fill up the luggage, but we have 3 free clinics a year in Greece that we teach children, and most importantly, people my age, 50s and 60s, how to play pickleball. And the most important part is not how to play. It's that they watch other people who are 60 years old playing, and they go, wow, I could do that.
Well, and then physical ability. It's amazing, because you always hear the excuses from people why they can't do something.
My back,
and so arm. We have a vacation business that we take people over to Greece for pickleball now, and them coming over there, the Greeks that see it and they're like, well, that woman can be, she has a bad hip, or she has this, she could barely get up the hill, and she's out there playing 3 hours pickleball. So they look at it and go, there is no excuse why.
There's no excuse.
There's wheelchair pickleball. There's so many different things.
We in the advanced group, my wife and I play advanced pickleball 3 times a week. In our advanced group, we have a guy named Gary who has 1 leg.
Wow.
He plays on a blade.
So this is beautiful, because it's not only a healthy sport, because people we all know that people need to get more exercise, and once you get more exercise, it affects your whole body, right? Your brain and everything. But it's also community, and as well, there's no age, there's no ageism, there's no stigmatism, there's no like, oh, he's old, I can't play with him, or he's too young, I can't play with him. So it's a great equalizer as well.
No. But yes, it's for every age, because the number 1 female player in the world right now, she's 16. She just turned 16. She just got a car.
She just bought a car.
I'm like, wow.
We were watching.
But there are 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds.
There's a 9-year-old competing with 20-year-olds.
8-year-old, with grandparents.
Wow, I love this. So what I'm saying is that this is something that's beneficial for everybody. And if you look at Niko and Christie, it obviously changed their lives, right? It changed their lives from where they were living to their lives now. They're closer together. They're more connected. And like I said, we will have a follow-up and go deeper into other things. But what I'm saying right now is that this is a worthy cause.
Correct.
This is a worthy cause, because it will change lives. It's about longevity. It's about communion. It's about community. And it's about just having fun and laughing. Who doesn't want more of that, right?
Exactly.
And if you have anybody who's 60 or 70 years old that you know of, and you know they're alone, or you know that they're and their spouse are just sitting at home doing nothing, watching TV, wasting their life. This is something they could do together. Have fun together. When was the last time a husband and wife can go and play sports together competitively? My wife sit there, we beat the crud out of each other one-on-one, and people watch and like, wow. I mean, it's so much.
Love it. I love it. So on that note, think about that, people. Think about this is a great equalizer. This is everyone's got a bit of money to donate, right? This is a good cause. We've got all the details in the description box, so you can just go out and donate to this beautiful couple for pickleball. Now, and on that note, I still haven't played, so I'll have to go and play before we have our next meeting. So at least I can say something about it.
Yes, I would love for you.
We'd be happy to. There's a lot more.
And we will have a follow-up.
Time limit on that before you.
Right? We will. So
in the U.S., you can find pickleball everywhere now. So
yes. So I'm putting it out there before we have our next connection and our next podcast. I will have played pickleball.
I would love
and
that.
And then I can speak from experience, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Niko and Christie.
We appreciate.
All right. Thank you so much
for having us here. For being here. It's been an honor and a pleasure meeting you, chatting with you. And like I said, if we can have a follow-up on this will be brilliant. And for everyone out there, think about pickleball. Think about Niko and Christie and donate some money. This is like a beautiful, beautiful cause.
Anything you donate will go to Greece people learning pickleball and getting senior citizens in Greece the much needed joy that they need. Something. It's just an option. It's an option. And options are what we need.
Yes. On that note, that's exactly. Remember, we all have choice. And remember, this gives these people opportunity to live life and love life again. Yeah.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Thank you, Niko and Christie.
Thank you. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Okay, bye-bye.
Gracias. Bye-bye.